You're listening to Healing Voices Project, where we share stories and the latest information from people who fight addiction every day. I'm Mike Torville, your host and author of Voices from the Fallen. Thank you for listening, for following, and most of all, for sharing with people you care about. Make your voice count too. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming back to Healing Voices Project. I'm Mike Torville, your host here, and today we have two special guests from the RFK Community Alliance, Krystyna and Talia. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Sure. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So,
yes, it has.
And I'll tell you a little bit more about Krystyna and Talia. Now, Krystyna, Boisjolie.
Yes.
And that's a tough spelling, but I got it right.
Tough spelling, yes.
Boisjolie. Krystyna Boisjolie.
I struggle with it myself.
Okay, then I don't feel so bad.
You're fine. You're fine.
That's good. But you are a vice president at the RFK Community Alliance, but you're located in Holyoke.
Yes.
But it's a statewide program.
Correct.
And Talia, your title is... Finish the sentence.
I am the coordinator for Berkshire County, the Legacy Program.
Okay. And we're going to get more into what exactly that means.
Yeah.
But you've both now, Krystyna, you've been at RFK now for over 3 years.
Yeah, since
right?
2022.
And you were hired in a different position, right?
Correct.
What was your position when you first came aboard?
I was first hired as the Director of Youth Engagement and Mentoring. So I oversaw all of our community service programs.
Youth Engagement and Mentoring. And Talia, you've been there for how long?
April was 2 years, so about 2.5.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was reading about the RFK Community Alliance, and you do so much. There is just such a broad range of your services, and I think we could spend hours talking about each one. So I have a funny feeling that what we do focus on today, I think we're going to end up having you back, if you're willing to talk about other programs. But I know today you want to talk about some of the programs that you have. I think maybe it's important to start off with a little bit of an overview of what the RFK Community Alliance is, because usually you could tell, okay, it's not a rehab, is it a mental health organization, but it's maybe a little bit of all of the above, right? And you work with children a lot, and I think we're going to talk about that too. Yeah. So, and from both of you can tell us what the RFK Community Alliance is about, and a little bit about your specific job, and Talia will do the same.
Sure, absolutely.
So, all right,
I'm excited to talk about
you
RFK.
I
learn something new about RFK every day. And it's been 2.5 years. We do a lot. Yeah.
Yes, and believe me, there's so much that I think it's great to have you on finally after all this time.
Yeah, thank you again.
And we'll have so Krystyna, tell us what the RFK Community Alliance is about. What you do, the broad range of services that you provide. Then we'll dive in a little into specifics.
That sounds great.
And after Talia gets to talk about her role too.
Perfect.
Yeah,
all right.
Sounds like a perfect plan. So so RFK Community Alliance is a merger of Dr. Franklin Perkins School and RFK Action Corps. The merger happened a little bit before I came to RFK, so back in 2022. They had started the process probably around 2020, and of course the merger can take a good chunk of time. So we're a nonprofit agency. We have various programs, as you said earlier, throughout Massachusetts. So we are based in Lancaster, Mass, so that's where our central hub is, but we have a multitude of services from Boston to Central all the way to Western Mass, and then of course all the way to the Berkshires, which Talia oversees that program. Yes, exactly. So in terms of the services that I oversee, it's all of our community service programs. So we have 3 diversion programs. So that's primarily working with young people that are involved in the juvenile justice system.
Okay.
And so we have one in Boston, actually 2 in Boston, and we have one in Hampden County. And our goal there is really to focus on BIPOC youth and keeping them out of detention. So we know that unfortunately they often come into contact with police at such a higher rate, as well as coming into the detention system at a higher rate. So our goal is to keep them connected to the community and becoming, productive members of society. I also oversee and support 2 young adult supported living programs, one in Central Mass and one in Western Mass.
Wow.
And we service ages 18 to 22 in those particular programs, and they are all young adults that are looking for really independence, and so we set them up in their own apartment. It's funded through the Department of Children and Families, and we provide a case manager and a life coach to help them really get connected to the community, find jobs, learn how to budget. There's tons of workshops that are developed through that particular program to really help them become young productive members of society. So such a great program.
I guess, yeah. Who would know if they qualify for programs like that?
Yeah, so it's all referred through the Department of Children and Families. So young people who have had involvement in the DCF system could potentially qualify. There's various requirements. There's a referral process. Typically, it would go through DCF. They would funnel the referrals to our program directors, and they would take a look and determine if it's an appropriate match. There's an interview process. So there's a lot involved.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful program and really helps young people become independent. So, which is pretty amazing.
Prior to joining, what did you do for work?
Myself?
Yeah.
I worked in foster care. So I
Foster
oversaw
care.
2 different foster care programs, one in East Hampton and then one in Worcester.
Okay.
So.
That's going to be very challenging.
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
But back earlier, you have a degree in criminal justice from Westfield State.
I do.
Criminal justice, and then you turned into this.
Yeah.
Did you get a job directly in criminal justice after you graduated, or how did this evolve?
Yeah. So people ask me that often.
Yeah.
How did you go from criminal justice to
Yeah.
social work? But it's really all intertwined. It's sort of what I saw, right? So I think I got more into the social work piece of it and just trying to figure out the why and really help to support young people make better decisions. Initially, I did a internship through the Department of Youth Services, and so I got connected there. Got excited about that, did some work in the court systems, and got connected to a program called Key Tracking, and then just sort of, things went from there. So, yeah.
Wow, so it's
Shifted a little
evolved.
bit.
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah.
It has, for sure.
But you seem like you really like what you're doing now.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
It's like you're made for that role. Yeah.
We also do have various other programs out in Western Mass. So we have a private day school at in Springfield called RFK Academy. So those are young people that maybe are struggling a little bit in their regular school setting and need a little bit of extra help and support. We have a couple private day schools in Lancaster. We have a behavioral health clinic. We have adult services. We have a multitude of residential programs, along with a behavioral health clinic and adoption services.
Behavioral health clinic too.
In
Okay.
Lancaster, yeah, we do quite a bit. So
Prior to the merger, how long has the RFK Community Alliance been an organization? When did it start?
well, the merger was in 2022.
Yeah,
RFK
so
Action,
prior to that.
yeah, RFK Action Corps, oh gosh, it's been around for many, many years. Yeah, so in terms of the initial development of the programs, I don't know the exact date, but in terms of the merger, that was in 2022.
And why? This is the obvious question, but I have to ask.
Yeah.
RFK. I mean, Robert F. Kennedy. It's named in honor of him.
Yes.
Is it because
RFK
of the
Sr.
work he had done?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So,
just the connections to the community,
Okay.
all the opportunities to give back to the community to help support young people by making good decisions.
okay.
So,
And it's obviously oriented towards the young people, young adults.
yes.
Talia, you've been there for 2 years.
Yes.
And your role now in the Berkshires is explain a little bit about what you do.
So I'm the program coordinator / survivor mentor. So what a survivor mentor means, I use the experiences of my childhood to now mentor the kids that I work with. So I work with boys and girls, 11 to 22. We actually moved up to 24.
24.
Yeah.
Yep, 11 to 24.
11 to
11 to
24
24.
who have experienced human sex trafficking or are in danger of being exploited by human trafficking.
As a survivor, and I'm sure you've shared your story, and that could be probably another entire program, right? And I'm sure of it. But is there anything you could highlight about your experience that helps you with your job now?
Yeah, because I was a child when I was trafficked, because I was younger, I use those experiences to meet the kids where they're at. And we don't share specific stories. We don't say what happened to you. Well, this is what happened to me. But I am able to say, I know how you feel a little bit. We're different stories, but I do know how you feel. And they tend to be more comfortable. They're a little less embarrassed, a little less shameful about what happened, because they're like, oh, she's been through this too. So
A little more trusting.
I was just going to say, yeah, they trust a lot easier.
Yeah.
They get comfortable a lot faster than
Yeah.
they would with somebody who's like, I know what you mean, and they don't know, and the kids are like, yeah, okay. But with me, they kind of are like, okay.
You're more relatable.
Yeah.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I would think, helps make them comfortable, because otherwise there's a barrier that you might have difficulty penetrating, right? Yeah.
Especially as an adult trying to work with them, like them knowing I am a survivor, it opens the door a lot quicker than if I was just a regular adult who showed up.
You know, unless you're involved with this type of work, I don't think a lot of people aren't aware of how extensive the problems are. Is that true?
Absolutely. I think even, last week we did a presentation in a school and some of the teachers were like, gosh, we didn't even know that happened here.
Yeah.
Or we didn't even know like this was going on here or Western Mass, or we thought those were Boston problems or, well, not my neighborhood, but it is your neighborhood.
Exactly.
It's the kids in your school, your backyard, your churches, your whatever it may be.
What kind of, you're speaking, you're trying to create awareness to the problem, because a lot of people will just, for lack of a better word, their ignorance, not knowing, shutting it out, because no, you're right, that can happen here. It doesn't happen here, and yet it does underneath our eyes here a little bit. How do you create that awareness? I mean, do you visit schools? What else do you guys do?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was actually just in a school the past 2 days. So we did an internet safety class with 10th graders in the schools in Berkshire County. We work in partnerships with the district attorney's office, with other programs in the county to spread awareness. So therapists may refer to us now,
Okay.
Police officers. We do an internet safety class that we hold in our office for kids to come by. DCF has actually asked us to reduplicate that in the spring, because the kids were like, oh, we actually liked this. We learned a lot. And we didn't make it boring. We had to play games and have food and all that. But they listen. But for the adults, we do not just like the 10th grade, we did the classes, but we also do a parent one. So they can come to parent night. We do try and really do a lot of education.
It's funny, you just answered a few of the questions I had. One is the ages that you're presenting this to, and how the parents can also recognize this, because you can't show it just to the kids without the parents' involvement.
Exactly.
How would the parents
sure.
know what to look for?
It's critical.
Right. So when we do the presentations with the kids, we send them home with packets to pass along to their parents, because we know the kids aren't going to go home and be like, guess what I did today? Because you can ask a kid, what'd you do in school all day? Nothing. For 8 hours. Nothing.
Sure.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Did someone come talk to you today? And they're like, I don't know. So we send them home with packets that explain like what human trafficking it is. And like even on the internet, parents aren't thinking that that's human trafficking, that's a danger. They think it's just somebody coming by in a white van and snatching them off the corner.
Right.
And that's not what is happening to our kids.
Well, how is it happening?
I would say it's changed in a lot. I've been doing this for a decade almost. And it's really changed to the internet. It's changed to gaming. Like they can be playing a game online and be asked for specific photos, nudes, etc. In exchange for, I'll give you $10 for this game if you send me this. That is human
And they
trafficking.
lure them in a little bit at a time, right?
For sure.
To gain their trust.
Yeah.
And then they finally, and then...
Yeah.
Do you find then what? Not to get into because all kinds of horror stories could certainly happen. But the kids, when they are subjected to this, and it's a little small. Okay, I got this kid to give me the small thing, and then it increases, right? What happens to the kids? Do you find them? What happens after that?
So that's kind of actually where our program Legacy steps in.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, if we do get a referral from the DA or something like that, it's already been reported. So there's already a legal case that's working with them and helping them. And we kind of step in at that what now point, what happens now. So that's where I step in as a mentor. We also have a caseworker that works on our team. And that's where we help with school. We help with doctor's appointments. We help set them up with therapists. We fill in those gaps to help them what now, because sometimes they're expected just to go back to school the next morning, and that's not going to happen. Like, they can't just go right back into life. So we support them in all those ways. We provide transportation. We fill in those gaps for them.
parents need to know more about this, right? How do you possibly cover all the towns in Massachusetts and Western Mass in your case? How do you possibly cover all that?
So we actually have two different programs. So Talia oversees the Berkshire County program, and then we actually have the Hampden County program, which is where we initially, I think, might have been connected to.
Yeah.
So we have the same exact program. So we have survivor mentors and a program coordinator, and Hampden County covers that area as well.
Okay.
We also partner with several agencies. So Bay State Family Advocacy is one that is a huge support to us. We often get referrals from them, or vice versa.
The Bay State Family
Bay
Advocacy?
State Family Advocacy Center. They're great. They do a lot of trauma work. Forensic interviews, they run groups, and then they often refer to our program as well. They run a coalition meeting every other month as well that we're part of, which is another opportunity for us to bring awareness, and then also constantly presenting, right? So that's where we got connected through the HCAT. We're doing that through the Department of Children and Families as well.
Okay.
So we're pretty busy.
What are the schools doing to support what you're doing?
I think we have really good, strong partnerships and relationships. As Talia mentioned, she's already done a bunch of different presentations within the schools. I think we have some more work to do. I think it's time consuming, and we have a very small but mighty groups, right? So it's really trying to find the time and the opportunities to get into the schools and sort of branch out. But we have some really strong connections and relationships. In addition, Talia was saying the ages 11 to 24. The other piece that we will often implement is we are all trained in the My Life, My Choice evidence-based curriculum.
My Life, My Choice.
Yeah, so we partner with them. They trained us all in the very specific 10-week series curriculum, and that's another opportunity to provide prevention and education to the young people. We're actually running a group in Hampden County right now, and it's had a huge impact.
Wow.
The only struggle we kind of see, like we've hit almost every middle school and high school in Berkshire County at this point.
It's incredible. Yeah,
it takes a little bit at first because parents are a little wary of what are you going to say to my kid?
Yeah,
what
nervous.
I know, like they're a little like thrown off. It's hard to think about human trafficking. Like it's hard for them to actually consider that's happening to these.
Especially there's an
peers.
element of denial, like that's not happening.
Exactly.
How
for
important
sure.
can it be here?
Exactly.
You know?
Especially
Sure.
like in South County, they kind of live in a little bubble.
Yeah.
So they're like, that doesn't happen here. It does.
It does.
And if you actually talk to your kid, I guarantee they know somebody that has something happen online.
And if it's over the internet,
Exactly.
it can happen anywhere. I mean, just wow.
Yeah.
Now, with other community service programs, we talked about CSEC a little bit, but can you tell us what that is and what CSEC
There's a lot of
stands
acronyms.
for?
There's so
a lot.
many acronyms.
Yes, and what it stands for, because I know we wanted to mention that program. So tell us about what CSEC is.
So it's commercial sexual exploitation of children. And
Commercial sexual exploitation
of children. And essentially it's a form of child abuse, and it's typically of sexual nature, right? And so various situations, as Talia mentioned earlier, but it could be anything from familial trafficking, it could be gang, we see that. There's been some connections with gangs and trafficking as well. We also, as Talia mentioned earlier, the online piece and the social media and the internet. So we see a lot of that, at least in the work and the youth that we work with. That's sort of some of the things that we're seeing. So
how are people how can you prevent it? I guess you create awareness what to look for, but how do you get the kids to say, hey dad, hey mom, hey, to their teacher, to their mentor, somehow somebody to say, hey, here's what's happening, here's what I've been somebody on the internet asked me this, or somebody at school asked me. What do you do when a child approaches you with that?
So in the education pieces we're doing in the school, we always ask them to pick a trusted adult, which sometimes they're embarrassed for it to be their parents. So it can be a therapist, your teacher, local community police officers. It can be anyone that they trust. But the trust, I feel, is the biggest part, because it is embarrassing for them. They feel shame, even though it's not their fault. And we do cover that too. This is not your fault. Right. You're not the first kid or the last kid this will ever happen to. It's okay. But what we've noticed in Berkshire County, at least, is building all that trust. We've actually had 3 kids now who have brought other participants to our program to say, this is my friend XYZ, can you also help them? This happened to them. So once you start building that trust, they're actually starting to bring in other kids to our program to ask for help.
Are you catching people?
Yes, they are. We are in court a lot.
It takes time, but
They
yes.
are.
Okay.
The district attorney in Berkshire County is really hammering down on CSEC.
And the perpetrators of this, is there a stereotype? In other words, are they of a certain age? Are they high school kids themselves, or are they usually older
Ranges,
people who
ages.
live elsewhere?
It's a huge
Anybody.
range.
Anybody.
Really?
Sadly,
Yeah.
yeah, you would think, right? Like, I think people have this idea in their mind, but
Because
we
maybe
see
from the movies they
range.
watch.
Everyone thinks
Yeah.
it's Huggy Bear with a feather in his
Exactly.
cap, and
Yeah.
like
It's
that's
just
not.
like that.
It's not. In rural areas, and for myself, I was a victim of familial trafficking, and sometimes in rural areas you will see that more. So they are being trafficked by family members.
More so in rural areas?
Yeah.
Why is that?
There's a lot less people to call. It's shameful. The town, like, everybody, so
Okay.
kids aren't reporting it as much because it's a very embarrassing. It's a small community. Transportation's an issue. Some of them don't have Wi-Fi, so they're not even on the internet. So there's nobody to tell. So it's
So for the
happening a lot more.
perpetrator, it's safer.
It's easier.
Easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more accessible.
More boys, girls targeted? How is this? How are you finding, or is there a difference?
We're actually starting
for you?
to see an increase in mail referrals, both
Really?
in Berkshire County and Hampden County. We have quite a few mail referrals, and I think it's unfortunate, but also on the flip side of that, like, it's an opportunity for us to support, educate, help to connect. They may need additional services, whether that be therapy, but the fact that they're coming forward, because there's such a stigma attached to CSEC regardless, but in particular what we're seeing with males. So to me, the fact that we're able to service that population along with the LGBTQ population, that's amazing. So we've actually seen quite an increase in both areas, which is interesting. So
You mentioned a stigma, and
for
that
sure.
certainly prevents people, not just kids but parents, from coming forward.
for sure.
And back to the basics here, because you teach this at schools, and what should parents? The number. You're banging.
You're wrecking the place.
I forget it's
It's
behind
okay.
me. I forgot. What can parents really? The top few things they could be aware of to say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to monitor my child.
Yeah.
Without making them feel like looking over
Sure,
their shoulder.
yeah.
What can the top few things they can
I think
look at and prevent, or at least recognize?
right.
That's always the first thing we get asked. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think for me, just myself being a parent,
Yeah.
right? I think it's opening up the dialogue and the conversation and making it like a normal part of conversation, right? What are they doing online? Who are they connected with? What are they seeing in school? What are their friends? I think that there's this sort of thought process that let's just not talk about it. And I think that does such a disservice to the young people that we work with. So for me, I think it's making sure that you're opening up that dialogue with the young person or with your child, and then also for the parents to get a little bit of education around the language, right? Like, so what are the young people seeing? What are some of the things that are troubling to them, and then getting some education around that. So we have partnered with other agencies in the past to make sure that we're helping to support the families understand, because there's so much happening. Like, it's honestly, teaching this group that we're running right now, they're teaching me a lot of stuff. Like, I'll hear from them like apps that I had never even heard of that they're on, so you try to Google and keep up with things as much as you can, but it's impossible. So I always find like they are the best indicators of like what they're seeing, what's happening, what the trends are. And so I think it's really just trying to get them comfortable and open up that dialogue of
Getting
relationship
them
and
comfortable
trust.
to share so you can learn,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
from that you can then be educate better.
For sure.
Right. And you mentioned the apps. So how are kids, I mentioned kids because anywhere from 11 to 24, 24-year-old
yeah.
might not be a kid, but just for the sake of
Yeah.
how are the kids?
I still say kids too.
Yeah,
It's
right.
okay.
The older you get,
I
get
still say
I
kids.
know, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
it's easier.
Youth
Yep.
participant.
Yes.
Yeah.
How are they being approached? Is it through social media, through apps? And
Yes,
how are they
all of
being
the above.
targeted?
All
I'm
of the
seeing a
above.
lot of change in the gaming world.
Gaming.
Yeah.
A lot, because
Scary.
they all play, games online now.
Yeah.
So they have on their headphones, and that's one thing we do tell parents to listen to too. Listen to who they're talking to on that voice. The kid might not notice, but an adult will notice if that's an adult voice in their ear or if it is another kid. So we do tell them just pull the earphone away a little bit. Listen to who's on the other side. But it is very easy for them to do the online gaming. And then on some specific apps, they can go on there and it'll just say, hey, would you like to add Krystyna to your profile? They're local. And these kids are just like, sure, okay, all right. And then they're not thinking the other side of that is maybe a 25-year-old adult, a 40-year-old adult. And it's very easy for them to go through their profiles and be like, oh, Krystyna goes to Springfield Middle. Let me, oh, I go to Springfield Middle too.
Of course.
And then it just, it snowballs.
So they're very deceptive, obviously, and saying they're someone who they're not.
Sure.
How does this come back, and shifting a little bit, but with distribution of drugs or solicitation of drugs, how does this fit into it all?
So, I mean, you have to think about, too, one thing we also point out to them when people are like, well, who's going to spend all that time doing that online, grooming and doing... when it comes to drugs, like, I can only sell that drug one time. I can sell your photo over and over and over. And then some of the kids, we don't see it a ton in Berkshire County, but it for sure happens that substance abuse becomes an issue with dealing because they don't want to deal with the reality of them being trafficked. So then that also becomes a little spiral for them that they're using drugs, they're using alcohol in order to forget what's happened or what is currently happening.
Yeah, they go hand in hand for sure.
Oh boy, yeah. I was thinking, and also too, you mentioned something about, you always say things that trigger another question about pictures. If they send their pictures, so let's say they're soliciting information or pictures to send on to someone else. Is that really what happens? So they relay it, so then they remove themselves from the chain and they're buying and selling information, right?
That happens pretty frequently in both areas, actually.
So they're sort of filtering out, okay, here's easy targets. So the more free people are to share their pictures, images, information, that's likely to become...
Oh, for sure. It's actually part... So the substance use and then the online piece is actually part of the curriculum that we teach too. So there's a lot of education around that. Like, what happens if you put a picture out there? What happens, on the internet, and how can that possibly get shared, and how can that come back to you? And then the substance use piece is also connected to that, just in terms of like how it can increase your risk to potentially find yourself in a very dangerous, unsafe situation, and sort of how the exploiters sadly will use that, right? So they often will have that young person become addicted to drugs, and so now they need the drugs, and so there's a lot of education in prevention work done. So
and it's for the kids and the parents, and you're right, you're going to get some kids who aren't going to talk about it because of the stigma, the shame, or even just I know enough about this, I don't need to hear it. I watched the movie the other night. That's not me.
It's not going to happen to me, or can't happen to me.
That's what happens. And you could certainly spend a lot of time and energy on that alone, aside from all the other things that you're doing at RFK. I mean, you get into other children's services, and you work with the DCF,
Department of Children and Families, Department of Youth Services. That's actually where we get a lot of our referrals from, not just the CSEC programs, but many of our programs. And our mission is really to help support each young person be connected, capable, and healthy. And so across the board, that is our goal and our objective. So.
It's a big one.
It is a big one. Yes, it's a huge undertaking.
It sure is. You've got a lot of responsibility. How big is your staff here in Western Mass?
For the CSEC programs?
The CSEC, but also...
So
broader,
total in all community services about 18 people or so, including myself in the various programs.
Including the Berkshires?
Yeah, including the Berkshires, but they're small, but as I said earlier, mighty. We are growing though, so we are hiring for a survivor mentor in Berkshire County. So we always love to spread the word
What type
about
of person
that.
are you looking for?
So definitely a survivor. Obviously, that's the piece, and that's what I love about RFK, that it is survivors. It is people who have experiences, so we can relate to the youth. And I would also say at that point, like someone who is healthy enough in their recovery, in their survivorhood, to be able to handle these stories, handle what they're hearing, handle the kids, court cases. So somebody that's been along in their mental health journey for a while.
For a while.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Do you require special education, schooling, certification? before you take on a role like that?
So I can jump in. I can
Sure,
jump in.
yeah.
Would you like? Okay.
She's that part.
So we always would love, like, prefer, so if someone has a degree, so Talia has a degree in social work, but we also look at the lived experience, in particular for the CSEC programs, right? So as Talia mentioned, like, lived experience, right? The one thing I will say in addition to our model is that we do build in, it's a very small amount of time, but it's 1 hour a week that each person that works in that program can sort of utilize. So for example, if someone wants to go to the gym, they want to go get a massage or something, it's sort of built into the model, and really the focus is taking care of yourself and sort of detaching a little bit. As Talia mentioned, it's a lot of trauma, it's a lot of secondary trauma. So it's really important.
It can be very triggering.
It can be very triggering. So it's really important for us that folks are taking care of themselves. So in Hampden County right now, we have 2 full-time survivor mentors and then a program coordinator. So Talia's counterpart, we have another person, as you met before in Hampden County.
Yeah, I met some of your staff
You have,
in
yes.
Holyoke a little while ago. And, I was thinking about this again when you were talking about the technology and the apps and all kinds of different ways with technology changing, and even just the few years you've been in it, the 2 years you've been here.
It's hard to keep up.
What do you see as change with trends and the evolution of this and how you keep up with it?
We actually are working with a few mentees right now that have been victims of AI.
Oh, yeah.
And so they
Which
just
wasn't
have,
a big thing a few
Exactly.
years
So even
years
for
ago.
me,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Exactly.
what? How did they make
It's
that?
really scary.
But yeah, so they didn't even send any inappropriate photos. They weren't even engaged, but someone took their photos offline. And there's an organization around the country. It's a government organization called NECMEC. And so someone in their position just looks for sexual images of children all day. So they alerted us that there were sexual images of this child floating around and being sold on the internet, but the kid never took that photo. It was AI generated.
Ooh.
They had
So
to be
scary.
like, I have a freckle right here in that photo. There's no freckle. So, but the parents have to work to explain we never took those. They have to send it through a special program to be like, yes, that is an
Right.
AI generated photo.
Wow.
And they put the kids in the photos in all kind of situations.
And that's why it's so important not to share that information, because your photo could be part of something else.
And that's what we try and tell them
could
too.
be.
You don't all
Yeah.
have to have public.
Right. You can put privacy.
Exactly,
on your
public
social
profiles.
media.
You don't have to let everybody in there see that you like ponies or
Yeah.
that you play soccer.
So
because
a
we are
recommendation
starting
is
to see
keep
the
it
AI.
private.
Keep it private.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're
If you
12,
can.
13, everyone
Yeah.
doesn't need to see your
Right.
profile.
And that's a simple thing to do. And it's one
Absolutely.
small thing that could have a big impact.
And that's what
Right.
we tell parents too. Go through, set privacies for them.
Well-
like, just help them do that.
Right.
That's one easy move.
It is.
Yeah.
Among
And we
many
also
others, yeah.
work
Yeah.
with a organization called Take It Down. So we do tell parents who come in for forensic interviews what they can do. And it's also nationwide. It's not just us.
Right.
It's a nationwide thing. So Hampden County uses it well. But it's called Take It Down. And so a parent or even a minor can go online. They put in some information, and
Yeah.
Take It Down will help them get those images from the internet removed.
Yep.
It's still a new process,
Okay.
so it's not 100% accuracy. So if you have the photo, you can still control what goes out. But me, as the one who took the photo, or the photo was taken of me, I can get them removed from the internet. But they are starting to move it
Yeah.
to track
That's
who still is
important.
holding
Yeah,
on to
very
that photo and get it removed.
Wow. So you're constantly keeping up with the changes.
We try to.
That's-
Yeah, we try.
Yeah, and that's why we
Yeah.
partner.
They teach
with
me stuff all the time.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I learn a lot from the kids. But it's also important to partner with several other agencies and police. And FBI.
Because they're always
and
going to
all
be one step ahead.
Yeah.
And you're
Absolutely.
playing catch up all the time.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They got in my phone the other day and they were like, turn your directional down. It's too loud. And I was like, I don't know how. And so they just go on
So
my phone and they're like,
scary.
beep, boop, boop. And now
Right?
yeah.
My grandkids do that stuff to me all the time.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you guys do so much, and it's good to talk about the
Thank you.
CSEC and all the other things that you've done. Is there anything else that you think we should highlight about RFK that we didn't get to talk about today? I know that's kind of a tough question,
gosh,
but because
there's
there's so
so much.
many. But if there's any one thing that comes to mind, unless you want to save that for another program.
Well, we can for sure, because there's always so much more to
come
cover.
back. Yeah, we would love to come back. I think the only other thing I would just add is that we do a risk assessment tool. So it's called the See It tool. It's a California-based tool. We were actually trained free of charge through Bay State Family Advocacy, and it's really just an assessment tool for us to sort of assess risk of CSEC. And so we do an initial evaluation, whoever it is, whether it's
an evaluation of
the risk, and it connected specifically to CSEC being exploited
to certain children, to specific to children. Okay.
Correct. And
Are
so
they
we
crowd
do-
surfing,
As a group,
couch
or is it
surfing? Are they
individual?
running away?
Individual.
Are they-
Individual. Okay.
Individual, yeah.
Okay.
And we really look at initial, we do it within the first month, and we do it every 6 months thereafter. And it assesses 8 different domains. There's so many different domains.
I think that's
one of
worth
which is
talking about
CSEC.
again, because you're
For
talking
sure.
about one is assessing the risk, but before that you have to identify the risk.
Absolutely.
And say, okay, what exactly are we looking at here?
It's a great evidence-based tool.
And then what?
Yeah.
Right. So
For sure.
that'd be great to dive into a little
for
bit.
sure.
But
Yeah, we'd love to
And
come
I would
back.
just
Yeah.
to leave a little parting gift for caretakers, parents, foster parents, if they were interested in learning more about CSEC or how to keep their kids safe.
Yes.
Netsmarts.org is a great
NET.
place. They have videos, they have
Yeah.
games the kids can
NetSmart,
play.
right?
NetSmarts.
NetSmarts with an S.
With a Z, actually.
Oh,
so
see, that's-
yes, yep, see?
NetSmarts.
NetSmart Z.
All right.
But it also provides videos and games for the kids to play with their caregivers.
Okay.
And so they can see how easy it is to be exploited, how fast it
Well, that's-
tumbles.
that's
And they give a
interesting.
ton of family-friendly and kid-friendly information.
And if anybody wanted to find out more about RFK, all that you do,
Go to our website.
website has
Yeah.
all the information about the
Yes.
specific
Every
programs,
program.
everything
Every
on
single
there.
Everything, yep.
Very
and our
specific.
numbers, our emails, how to refer. So if they
Okay.
had questions too, it's all on there.
Yeah.
Let's say the website out loud so everybody can hear it. Yeah.
It's rfkcommunity.org.
rfkcommunity.org.
Yes.
rfkcommunity.org.
Absolutely.
Okay, well that's
Everything
good.
you need.
Yeah, well that's good to know. Well, both of you,
Great.
Talia and Krystyna, thanks for
you.
coming on. There was a
Thank
lot to
you.
talk
Thank
about.
you so much for
I wish
having
we had
us.
more
Come
time.
back. We'd
Yeah.
love to
Talk
come
all
We will.
back.
day.
Yeah, and we could.
It
Yeah,
is
you guys
fun.
do so much and great work.
Yeah.
When
Great
it's
work.
warmer.
You guys are in the right place, you know.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you
So-
so much for having us.
Yeah,
We
thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
We'll do it
was a
again.
pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right,
you.
and thanks everybody for listening. Glad to have you back. We'll see you all soon. Thanks.